Hi, I'm Justin, and today I'm going to be showing you why we need to increase the current minimum wage in North Carolina. So according to Charlotte Works, North Carolina's minimum wage hasn't increased since 2009. And the cost of living has gone up 18% in that same span. So since 2009, minimum wage has been stable at $7.25, which is still the current minimum wage. But since 2009, it's gone up 18% to live in North Carolina. So going through, these are some of the points I'm going to point out during my speech today. So I'm going to address the following. And that's going to be why the current minimum wage isn't enough, why we need to increase it, some issues that we have, and then we're going to go on to benefits to increasing minimum wage, how that would help residents in North Carolina, and then why I think we should act as soon as we can with it. I think this one's important, as well as all three, but I think it really is important to act soon. Now, myself, I work too, and I make probably about double minimum wage. And I find at times, even I'm struggling to pay bills, and I don't have any bills to pay, and I don't have a family either, and I still struggle. So I can only imagine what it could be for just one person off $7.25 trying to live, or maybe a family of four trying to make ends meet with minimum wage. I just can't imagine that. So we're trying to mitigate that, and this is why I'm going to put up some stuff on why we should increase. So why the current minimum wage isn't enough. So going through, so according to NCCAA, North Carolina has the 14th highest poverty rate in the United States. So out of 50 states, North Carolina would be 36th. And that's kind of alarming, just because North Carolina is not a big state at all. And to be that high on the poverty rate, that does tell me something. And then according to World Population Review, North Carolina has a median income of $54,000, and that is roughly 40th out of 50 states. So North Carolina has the 14th highest poverty rate, and then they're 40th of median income. So they're bottom tier of median income as well. And even though North Carolina has a lower median income, it's the 22nd most expensive state to live in North Carolina. So poverty is high, the median income is low, and it's one of the more expensive states to live in, roughly middle of the pack, but it's on the other side to being a more expensive state to live on, and it's got one of the lower median incomes. So that just tells you that it's just not enough money. I mean, it's a fairly expensive state to live in, and then it's one of the lower median incomes. It's just you're not making enough money. So yeah, North Carolina ranks 14th for poverty-ridden states, median salary. The current cost to live in North Carolina, 22nd highest. North Carolina's unemployment rate is 3.9%. So North Carolina's unemployment rate is 3.9%. And the average would be 4%. So United States average is 4. And that's according to NC Commerce. So this stat right here is according to NC Commerce. North Carolina's unemployment is lower than the national average. So it's lower. So you got a little bit more people working. Poverty is higher when you got more people working. It's a more expensive state to live in. And your median salary is lower. So that just tells me, that just shows me that the minimum wage is not enough. People just aren't making enough money. And like I said, it hasn't increased since 2009. And some of the states that saw increases since then are a lot higher on the median salary and a lot lower in the poverty rate. So that's kind of alarming. And moving to my second point, which would be benefits to raising minimum wage. How could we benefit from raising minimum wage? So some of these benefits could be entry-level jobs. They would get paid more. And this would increase morale of workers. That's big. When you're coming into work, it's a lot easier to work when you're in a good mood in comparison to where you're not in a good mood when you're in a bad mood, possibly. So it's a lot easier to come into work when you're making a lot more money. So yeah, entry-level jobs would be paid more. And like I said, that would lead to higher morale and a chance for growth for workers. And that would create a narrative to grow in the company and even earn higher wages, right? So it would keep workers around, and workers would be less likely to seek high-paid jobs elsewhere. You would have more long-term workers, possibly, just because when you're making more money, you're probably already comfortable with that job, so you're probably not going to move because you're making good money already. Usually people seek other jobs to get a pay increase, so when you're making already good money, you're probably just going to stay there. And this one is kind of a wild card. It could also lead to an increased demand for goods. So this is good for the economy. When people have more money in their pockets, they're more likely to spend money, go out and spend money. So that just keeps the economy going. You need people to spend money. When people aren't spending money, your economy is not healthy. You need the cycle of spending money, making money. You need workers. So that's all big. So that's a big one right there. Because when people are money tight, they're not going to go out and spend money. So let me transition to my last set of points, which is why we should act now. And this one's big, why we should act now. Quicker improvement to the quality of life. I think that's a big one just because, like I said, when people are making more money, they're going to have more money to spend. So when you have issues around the house or car issues, you can keep up with it more, you can upkeep it more. It keeps people's stuff looking good. When you go into poverty-ridden towns and stuff, just, the cars aren't looking good, the houses aren't looking good, but maybe in a way, when you're making more money, you can upkeep it more and, make stuff look nicer. Because when people don't have money, you kind of prioritize. You got to pay the bills before you can, fix something in your house. Always got to pay the rent. And harder job competition. This is a good one because you don't want workers to be complacent when they're working. You want workers to feel pressure when they're working. Just because you don't want them to be complacent and say, I'm not gonna get fired. I don't need to try my hardest and make sure everything's done. You want the job competition. You want everybody to be on a hot seat, kind of working, doing their best, because then you're gonna get the best business. You're gonna get a good image for your business when everybody's working. And yeah, it like I said, it benefits the economy when people are working, people are spending money. You obviously need people working for an economy. Just going into like the basic eco cycle, you need workers, you need people spending money, it's a cycle. And yeah, the more employees, the better. You need people working, obviously. You need to have people to fill your grocery bag, fix your car, spray for ants in your house, et cetera, et cetera. So you need employees. So I think these are all just really, really big points. It's just stuff you don't think about, but when you look long term, it's really important. It's this whole cause and effect kind of thing. So let me go back to my preview so I can sum up these points. So what I went through in my speech today is I addressed why the current minimum wage isn't enough, the benefits to increasing it, and how you can upkeep and stuff like that, and then some percentages on why the minimum wage isn't enough and comparing that to other states. And then why we should act now. And I think this is a big one as well, why I think people people need to start making more money, in my opinion. So yeah, going through that. So I really do appreciate everybody for their time. And for some reason, if you were against increasing minimum wage, maybe this rethought something for you in North Carolina about some of the percentages and why I think we need to increase it. Maybe some alarming numbers on how it just doesn't look like people are making enough money in North Carolina. So hopefully that may give you new perspective, maybe even change your opinion on something that maybe you haven't even thought about before. But thank you guys so much for listening. And hopefully, like I said, it maybe change your opinion somehow.